Alright, practicing coding problems are very important to do well in any programming interview. You should do your best on data structures like array, linked list, string to clear any programming interview. And believe me, you cannot do this in just one day or 1 week. It's rather a long process of learning through coding, and that's where these small coding problems help. So here we are going to look at another interesting question from the array data structure. So here we need to write a program to find all pairs of integers whose sum is equal to the given number. So for example, if the input integer array is like this and the given target number is 9, then in this case the output should be 6 and 3 because 6 plus 3 is 9. So the logic is we are given an array and target number, so we need to find out the pairs from this array whose sum is equal to the target. Now this is the same question as LeetCode question number 1, where it says toSum. Now the question on LeetCode says that given an array of integers nums and an integer target, return indices of two numbers such that they add up to the target. So you may assume that each input have exactly one solution. So you may not use the same element twice. So here on LeetCode there are examples like this. So this is the example from the LeetCode. As an input it puts the array this one and the target is 9. So as you see, as an output they return 0 and 1. So this means that the sum of elements that are located at the index of 0 and 1 is equal to 9. So the first element that is located at 0th index is 2 and the second element is 7. So if we sum up them, we are getting 9 over here. So this is how the question is called in LeetCode. It might sound very simple, yeah? But this is the exact question has appeared in a technical interview, one of the tech top companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, or Apple in the past. Many of you might already have heard about this question, and some of you may already know the solution to this problem as well. But that's not enough to know just the answer. In programming interview, many things matter apart from the correct solution. For example, the first thing interviewer looks at is whether a candidate can ask the right question or not. So before jumping straight away to the coding, spare a second or two, think about the problem and clear any doubt you might have. For example, you can ask the following questions based on this problem that is given to us. So first question might be, does the array contain only positive or negative numbers? So what if the same pairs appear twice? Should we print it every time? If the reverse of the pair is acceptable, for example, can we print out the 4-1 and 1-4 if the given sum is 5? So do we need to print only distinct pairs? Does 3-3 is a valid pair for given sum of the 6? So how big the array? So such kind of question demonstrate that you have understood the question very well. Many programmers are afraid to ask questions. Instead, they like to assume it. But during the coding interview, it's always better to ask questions. First, it shows that you have not marked the answer, and second, it demonstrates that you have ability to think through a problem, which is very important quality of any professional programmer. So it's enough to talk about interview process. Let's go back to our question. So we have explained the logic over here. So based on this logic, we are going to implement a method which is taking as a parameter an integer array and the target, and it's returning the elements whose sum is equal to this target number over here. Now here we are going to implement our method in Java. So the logic is we are going to take one number from the array, then loop through the array and return the pairs which is equal to the given sum. So we are going to do it for all elements in the array until we find the pairs whose sum is equal to the given target. So I'm going to declare our method over here. So the return value of this method will be integer array. So I'm going to put integer array over here, and the method will call toSum. You can call it pairs or toSum. So in our case, I'm going to call it toSum. So the first parameter will be integer array. I will call it nums, and the second parameter will be integer target. So the sum of pairs from this array should equal to this target over here. So inside this method, I'm going to loop through this array twice and find out the elements whose sum is equal to this target over here. So first loop will be like this: for integer I equals 0, because the index of the array starts from 0, and it will continue until the length of array, so nums.length, and it will be increased by 1 in each step. So here basically in the first loop we are taking the element and Then one more time we are going to loop through the array and find out the sum. So in this case, the second loop will start from the first index of this array over here, because in the first stage we are taking the first element and then summing up this element with the other elements, checking that if this is equal to the target or not. So it's going to be like this. Second loop will be like this. Int j, so it will start from the I plus 1 because we need to take the next element. Then this one also will continue to until the length of nums array, and it will be also increased by 1 in each step. So inside this loop, I'm going to check that if the sum of these pairs is equal to target, then we are going to return the index of these elements over here. So if nums with the index of I plus nums with the index of j equals target, then in this case, I'm going to return new array, which will be the integer array. As we said, this function will return the integer array. So inside this array is going to be index of the elements. So we know that I and j are the index of the elements, so we are going to return I and j. So with this we have completed our method. Now the question is, if we have visited all pairs over here and we couldn't find the solution, what will happen in this case? So in this case we need to throw exception over here. So outside of these loops over here, I'm going to return the exception. So here I'm going to put our exception like this. Throw new illegal argument exception, in which we will say that no solution found. So with this exception over here, we are assuring that if the solution is not found, we are going to return this exception over here. So with this we have finished our method. So let's see how this is working in practice. So here I'm going to create an integer array in which we have 4 elements, and we are going to look for the sum of 20. So I'm going to declare our integer array like this, int array, and in which we will have 4 elements, so 2, 7, 11, 15. So for example, if we run this method for the target of 20, let's see what will happen. So first parameter will be integer array and the target will be 20. So if I run our code, you'll see that this time it gives us error. So if you look at this error carefully, you see that illegal argument exception, which means that no solution found. So it throws over here. So this means that we don't have any pair whose sum equal to 20. Now, for example, if I change this number to 13, so we can easily see that 7 plus 13 is equal to 20, and run one more time our code, you'll see that in this case, it's going to return different value. Now, as you see that after running our code, nothing happened in the console. So this means that we need to print out to the console this returning array over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this result to the integer array. So I'm going to create integer array over here, and it will call result and set the result that comes from this method over here. And then we are going to print out this result array to the console. So we have learned that to print out array to the console in Java, we need to use array class. So here I'm going to import java util.arrays. Then I'm going to use array class to convert this result integer array to string and print out to the console. So for printing out to the console, I'm going to put system out print, and inside print statement I'm going to call arrays class dot to string, and it will be result. Now if we run our code, you see that it returns the array of integer with the index of 1 and 2. So at the index of 1 we have 7, at the index of 2 we have 13. So 7 plus 13 is equal to 20. So this means that our method works the way that we want. So everything is working perfectly. So with this we have come to the end of this lecture. So hopefully everything is clear about this method over here. So see you in the next lecture.